We're going to talk about a tool that I noticed when I was reading through the Vault 7 release itself called RickyBobby. This is just right on WikiLeaks. You can pull it up yourself. And here's the tool in question. Most of this doesn't matter for the terms of what we're talking about today. Who RickyBobby is actually underneath and all that. But let's take a look. RickyBobby is a lightweight implant for target computers running newer versions of Microsoft Windows or Windows Server. The implant allows computer operations group operators to upload and download files, okay, and execute commands and executables. So RickyBobby enables file system control and executable access without being detected as malicious software by PSP personal security products. What's a personal security product? Antivirus, in short. Now, a couple other things. How does RickyBobby function? It's built off the .NET framework, and it uses Windows PowerShell, so it's a scripting. And it mentions that Windows PowerShell was selected because Microsoft installs it by default on all Microsoft OSs since Vista and automatically runs it as trusted. So this is a straight up example of one of those security vulnerabilities that we mentioned in the first Vault 7 video. Hello YouTube, by the way. About how the NSA would have a liaison officer with the company in question, letting them know about the security vulnerabilities. This is an unknown one. Microsoft wouldn't let this fly. And what this indicates is that by exploiting Windows PowerShell to run, like Globe mentions, essentially bash scripts, so it wouldn't be bash on a Windows system, but same ideology, as a Microsoft signed process. So anyone can exploit this now. Another interesting thing, so it does use batch files to install, so not bad. But it mentions that it can be installed remotely or with physical access. Now, the installed remotely, it's tricky for me to fathom how you would pull this off. So this is... I don't know exactly how you would do this. I'm not like a super high level operator. I just know enough to get myself in trouble. So I'm not really sure how you would manage to do remotely, but elsewhere in Vault 7, something I might cover later on, it mentions an example of when you've got physical access to the computer, there's all kinds of ways you can, like for instance, you could just run a batch file right there, but let's say you needed to be clandestine. Elsewhere in the Vault 7 release, it talks about, for instance, using a VLC, video LAN, the video player, exploit, where you use portable VLC on a stick, and it has to run for a couple minutes. So you essentially hand someone a stick with VLC on it and tell them to watch this video. And they're watching the video using the portable VLC, and in the meantime, it's using a VLC exploit to install the package onto their computer. Anyway, another example that was I saw where they can embed a package into a ROM and if you burn it to disk or you mount it, it can use a buffer overflow in specifically Nero, that software for burning DVDs and shit, to install the package. Also true, Globe. Phishing is like 99% of it. But it goes on to mention Cal, which is way more technical. It's talking about debating between writing it in Python versus another language, and how it actually sends the info to a listening post server, etc. and so forth. Talks about some ideas for it as well. But there was something in here that was interesting. Oh yeah. So apparently as it stands, the way it worked is the collected data is sent back to the listening post server encrypted by the target's actual private key, and they have to have a copy of the public key to confirm communication with the target. And this goes on to say that they would actually want to have it encrypted in such a way that not even the person themselves could decrypt the data. Again, it's like really technical, but it was interesting that I'm not sure if they have access to someone who has RickyBobby's encryption keys or what. Anyway, so why is RickyBobby like a thing to talk about? Well, first off, the RickyBobby package specifically would allow an operator to alter the contents of your hard drive. So can anyone off top think of a situation or example where a intelligence agency altering the contents of your file system could be problematic? And something else to think about. Remember we were talking about how, for instance, the NSA pulls a full take. All your communications data. Now with Vault 7, we're going beyond. We're going into a realm of managed access into your system. You don't have to communicate. You just have to exist and be connected. There you go. Ghost has a good example. The CIA could maliciously delete your 300-hour Skyrim save to cause you psychological harm. Definitely true. Globe mentioned another tool that's mentioned in Vault 7, which is Time Stomper, which allows the modification of timestamp data, including on the user end as far as last accessed, etc. What if that's the truth, Retrovision? What if the only reason your computer works at all is because the CIA is sneaking into your computer and fixing everything for you? There you go. Globe has a good example. By having file system access to your authorization cookies for websites, they could be you on any website that you have social media access to. I mean, think about a recent case with, for instance, Anthony Weiner. From my understanding, the evidence against Anthony Weiner consisted of things that I understand are now spoofable, as well as child porn on his file system, which again, RickyBobby can manipulate down to the timestamp. Interesting. Globe, everyone who watches this channel is actually an intelligence agent. Now, let's take it to another level. What else could RickyBobby tell us? Well, for instance, if we check out, and let me be clear, Vault 7 so far is a wiki. Vault 7 is a dump of an internal CIA wiki for what it seems to be a pretty small group of NSA-like operators, essentially duplicating the NSA protocol on a smaller scale and taking it to another level. So instead of observing, we are doing actual file system manipulation, everything really. Really, to use some harsh terminology, raping the device. Really, like, full, not a full take, a full access. Like, your shit is my shit now. So, because it's a wiki, we click on the owner of RickyBobby. And you can see that he's working on RickyBobby and Python. He's a low-level dude. I looked into, all this, but that's not what we're checking out today. But if we go back to the RickyBobby page, we take a look, there's actually comments. Was this the one? Maybe it was this one. Yeah. So actually, if we check out the automated testing on RickyBobby, which is about testing RickyBobby itself. You get a comment from who I assume is this user's boss. So check him out. And he's in charge of a lot. He or she. Handful of things here. So you can start to get an idea of the organizational structure that's going on here too, and that kind of helps you track things down if you're interested in looking into these things yourself. So, for instance, he's assigned to the Velociraptor space, right? And then Velociraptor is another tool that was used. But the Velociraptor and the RickyBobby kind of tell a little bit more of the picture. It gives us an idea when this particular wiki dump is from, because it's got to be I don't even know off top when this movie came out. So Talladega Nights came out in 06. Let's see if Velociraptor is on like Know Your Meme or something. When was Velociraptor a popular meme? About 2007. So, the RickyBobby, the memes that are referenced, Velociraptor, dates this wiki dump to about 2006, 2007. So, what is the CIA doing now? Like, if in 2006 and 2007 the CIA had full device access to everything, are they actually controlling me right now to tell you this? Like, what access are they in my cat? Like, how do you have more? What's more than that? This is old. This is almost 10, well, yeah, I would say a little over 10 years ago. So everything you check out in Vault 7, mentally advance it 10 years. Because it's obvious, and I don't know if there's dates in here that could confirm it, but it's obvious from the memes that they talk about, the references that they make. This is 2006, end of 2006, early 2007 was when this wiki was captured. And Vault 7 is, so far, just a partial wiki of it seems like a small NSA-like CIA operative group going beyond the scope of the NSA. And today we went in depth about a tool in there called RickyBobby, which, short version, full file system access and manipulation without being detected, can be used in conjunction with the tool called Time Stomper to actually alter timestamps, including access dates. And that opens up a whole can of worms, from impersonating you on every website you've ever been to planning illegal material on your system. And there's literally no way to prove it. There was one interesting thing. Let me show you this. Now, this is ultra in-depth, but look at this. So, one issue that they were having with RickyBobby, again, 10 years ago. And think about the progression. If they were having issues with how RickyBobby interfaced with Windows, They're talking about Vista. Why not get a plant to go work at a high level on the development of Windows 10? Fix up these little issues that your packages are having. So if you take a look here, for persistence, so to keep running, RickyBobby used the scheduled task. Now that is something a target could detect. You could detect an aberrant scheduled task, and then that would give you a clue that something was going on if you were, aware. And they were working on getting it into something called Windows Management Instrumentation, which I assume is some kind of behind the scenes scheduled task. Again, I'm not like an ultra high level operator or anything like that. But that's an example that, for instance, a target could detect. They could find an aberrant scheduled task because one is required to keep RickyBobby running. Pretty trippy. What up, Cage? The short version, man, we just kind of chopped it up for the past, 20, 30 minutes. I did a longer, just general Vault 7 one a couple days ago that's over on the YouTube, but today we went in depth about a specific tool called RickyBobby, which gives... Well, I haven't seen anyone talk about any specific tools, really. I don't know too many... I don't know why. I'm not going to speculate why. I don't want to say, people don't know, because I don't know. But I know enough to understand some of this. RickyBobby can manipulate your file system, and in conjunction with another tool called Time Stomper, it can actually alter the timestamps as well. When you accessed it, even. So we're talking about different uses of that, like taking over your identity on websites, planting evidence. I mentioned Anthony Weiner. Now, granted, it's very possible that dude's a creep, but I'm just saying, if you've got a political opponent, it would be pretty easy. Especially, we were also talking about you use RickyBobby, and I dug around in there and showed some other shit, like another tool called Velociraptor. Kind of the memes and shit they reference dates this to end of 2006, early 2007. I don't know if anyone else has made that connection, or if they found the dates otherwise. But this is a wiki dump from a small operational group inside the CIA, mimicking NSA functions, but going to another level. And this was captured into 2006, early 2007, for sure. Retribution asked, do you think this would be high value targets only, or on common plebs? Definitely would be tested on common plebs. That you're probably watching when we pulled up that part about testing and how they're looking for test units. Weird test units, like malware and shit, a lot of times comes from projects like this. But I mean, that's the fucked up thing. Is one, we were reading in there that you could remotely set up RickyBobby. I don't know how you would do that, because it mentioned you had to run batch files to enable the package, and I don't know how you remotely would execute that on someone's computer. So it'd be something you'd have to download and execute yourself on accident, or be old and not know what you're doing. But they seem clear that they could run it themselves. So I don't know how they would do that. I don't know how they would remotely get your get the Windows PowerShell framework to do shit, but with physical access, it's all over. Even a complete pleb script kiddie can take your shit with physical access for sure. What's pretty crazy is how easy and essentially free it is. So you mentioned high value target. Well, if your weaponry is free to use, it doesn't have ammo or anything. Why not just do it to everybody? Fuck it. That is true, Cage. We kind of got into that in the first Vault 7 talk, because I was comparing the NSA and the CIA and talking about how the NSA has had full take on telephones, for instance, since the 60s and all of that. Ironically enough, Zeus, the vast majority of these tools are you can find them and use them online. So yeah, you can. But Cage, I think you bring up a good distinction. Like the NSA has always been listening, but planting evidence, shit like that, kind of crosses the line into Soviet Russia. In Soviet America, TV watches you. Yeah, I don't think anyone had any doubts that the CIA was up to this type of shit, but I think having the proof is different than speculating, no matter how sure you are. Because, just to be real, the plebs need the proof. Your average Joe struggles to really conceptualize and connect dots. But if you have a specific flat out thing you can point to, it tends to get the message across a little better. But until the top of the hour or so, we'll just bullshit, and again, it can be any questions about Vault 7, this specific hacking package, RickyBobby, or anything else. Whenever I fuck around in IRL, I tend to bullshit about politics or conspiracies or the occult, philosophy, or even fucking fitness and working out. Bullshit about whatever. I usually only hang out in here for about an hour though, before I switch it over to some games. Today I'm gonna be playing some Sword of the Stars, The Pit. You'll be seeing my second run ever, and so on. I was threatening earlier, I should do like a 2 or 3 hour mega IRL talk, but I don't know what we would go in about. You just do like questions, but I don't know. I don't know if we could keep questions flowing that long. Who knows? If you're curious, though, you can hit !YouTube to pull up the YouTube channel, and I got the Vault 7 video from earlier in the week on there. Ghost says Russia's deep state ended with Putin as their leader. So by deep state, I guess in that case you're definitely meaning like kind of the globalist deep state, because there's definitely some spy action going on in Mother Russia still. But anyway, she says, "I wonder what will if that will happen to the U.S. in 20 years." Well, let me give you my crazy ass theory on Russia. Let me give you my completely wild, insane ass theory on Russia. Hello, I'm KGB. As an aside, Ghost, we're trying to pick a different survival game to play until Conan is more updated, so there's not like gameplay crippling bugs. So we're trying to decide between Ark, Rust, or Miscreated. And I put links to all the server lists in the Discord if y'all want to go through there and help me find a server that looks good. But I want to pick I've accepted that I need survival in my life at all times. So we're trying to pick a different game. I don't know what your preference would be. But it's nice to have a survival game to play together. Anyway, here's my crazy Russia theory. What if the leadership of Russia realized that the Marxist cultural conditioning is probably one of the worst psyops you can unleash on a country? And not only did they drive the Marxism out of their own country, but what if they realize that the 30-year Marxist psyop that was aimed at the US, including putting Marxists in as key academic positions and things like that, they feel almost, I wouldn't say regret, but they realize that you don't want the most powerful country on earth to be fucking completely social justice insane. And so they're like, so hype about the Trump situation because they were ready to have to like go to blows to end the social justice with Hillary. Or maybe like they even clandestinely helped Trump for that reason, and that's gonna come out. Who fucking knows? But that's my crazy theory. Well, Marxism is never, like, the leaders of communist countries don't actually believe in Marxism. It's a tool to trick people into being useful idiots. So I don't think it's like they suddenly found morals as much as, this is a crazy theory, but what if it was like they realized it was like such a dangerous weapon, especially to drive the largest country on earth insane. Well, most powerful, I should say. I should say the most dangerous country on earth. That, let me be fully real, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but to drive the most dangerous country on earth insane. Could be, man. It's also trippy because, like, what will Trump do about this? He's meeting with the director of the CIA today. So hopefully he lives through it. And I'm only like half kidding on that. I pray for Trump, man. Whether you're like against him or for him, I just pray he doesn't get killed, dude. The last president to tangle with the CIA definitely was killed. But from that perspective, it's like, what is Trump to do? Like, it's fun. Like, you can argue listening to everybody. You can't really argue the ability to, like we talked about with RickyBobby today, plant evidence. You can't really argue being able to do that. You can argue listening. You can't really argue planting evidence. Be like, we need to develop the ability to plant evidence. You can't really argue that one. Yeah, Glow, but I balanced it out by also praying for the poor Antifa stooges that get duped into it and wind up with a fucking felony on their record and they can't even vote. I pray for them too. I balance it out. That way I'm not a Nazi, right? I don't think the CIA should really exist as an organization. It seems like to me that what the CIA does could easily, or what the CIA is supposed to do, physical ops could easily be handled by special ops. There's so many different branches of special ops in the military. The CIA could be phased out. NSA's got it covered. Special ops can handle espionage. We don't need James Bond LARPers. NSA has a clear mission. SIGINT, done. Signals intelligence, clear mission. CIA mission, assassinate presidents? I don't know. But I do know that special forces can do that. If you need to assassinate the democratically elected leader of your own country, you don't need to spend a bunch of extra money doing it. That's really what I'm trying to say. If you're going to assassinate the president, do it on budget, CIA. Come on now. All kidding aside. Like, real talk budget. And obviously the way that they perform, I hope the CIA doesn't last. I think it would give the US credibility to phase them out. I think it would free up a lot of money and fucked up shit going on. I think it would clarify and redefine the NSA's goal and mission. I think it would provide unique opportunities for special forces to handle things. And with a lot more oversight and control. So I'm for the CIA being completely phased out. Ghost, we'll do an hour of face cam with the Sword of the Stars here, which I'll switch to here in just a bit. you're just joining in, we're kind of at the end. I usually do about an hour in here, cover the topic, then we kind of bullshit about the topic or whatever else until I switch over to some games. Today I'm playing Sword of the Stars, The Pit, a nifty little sci-fi roguelike. But today we talked about a specific hacking package called RickyBobby, which allows the CIA to alter the contents of your file system. Have any of you all taken a look at the Vault 7 release yourself? A lot of people are weird about WikiLeaks. They don't want to go and click on it. But you could just go to wikileaks.org. It's all there. You don't have to download anything. I guess because CNN was like, it's illegal. It's illegal to look at WikiLeaks. It would only be illegal to look at WikiLeaks if we lived in Soviet Russia. So if you find yourself internally scared to look at WikiLeaks, then ask yourself, what type of state are you living in? If you feel scared to look at WikiLeaks, are you living in Soviet America? Well, it is much sexier to hear me talk about it, I'll agree. And Ghost is right. Never click on WikiLeaks 3 times in a row at midnight while chanting Julian. If you chant Mindax 3 times at midnight with 3 tabs of WikiLeaks open, an unmarked white van pulls up and you're taken away to the Ecuadorian embassy for the rest of your life. Don't do it. Not worth it. Do you guys have any questions or comments about other wild shit going on? Did anyone happen to see Eddie Bravo on Alex Jones InfoWars? It was fascinating, especially if you watch the videos that they took of Eddie Bravo. They took like a hour and a half of Eddie Bravo wasted at dinner, and he was really going off. Right, whatever. Well, if it ever comes out that Julian Assange is gay, then you know WikiLeaks will be immediately blocked in Russia. That's all you gotta do. Just spread a rumor that Julian Assange is actually gay, and then they'll block it in Russia right away. Evil, corrupt youth to be gay. If you're ever in close quarters combat with a Russian commando, you just gotta be like, "I'm gonna kiss you," and he's done. I guess nobody checked out Eddie Bravo on InfoWars.